Beloved in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, this is a very urgent message called The Sons of Our President Part 10. The Sons of Our President Part 10, taken from the first scripture, 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 3. But when they shall say peace and safety unto you, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. You are all the children of light and the children of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. Therefore let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. For they that sleep in the night and they that be drunken and drunk in the night, let us from the day, but let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and for a helmet the hope of salvation, beloved. Now, this is the scripture that backs the scripture up in 1 Thessalonians 5:3 is Desire of Ages, page 629. Desire of Ages, page 629. I'm getting that book right now. Desire of Ages, page 629. Desire of Ages, page 629. I decided to take this day, this Tuesday, to preaching the gospel and not doing much canvassing. Just preaching the gospel and spreading the good news about prophecy and about standing up against the apostasy. Well, you take it from Desire of Ages, page 629. Look at what Sister White says here in Desire of Ages, page 629, about 1 Thessalonians 5:3. It says this, it says, tell us, they said, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming in the ends of the world? Jesus did not answer his disciples while taking us up separately the destruction of Jerusalem and the great day of his coming. He mingled the description of these two events. Had he opened his disciples' future events as he beheld them, they would have been unable to endure the sight. In mercy to them, he blended the description of the two great crises, leaving the disciples to study out the meaning of it for themselves. When they referred to the destruction of Jerusalem, his prophetic words reached beyond that event to the final conflagration in that day when Lord shall rise out of his place to punish the world in their iniquity. When the earth shall disclose her blood and shall no more cover her slain. This entire discourse was given not for the disciples only, but for those who shall live in the last scenes of this earth's history. Turning to the disciples, Christ said, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come by name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. Many false messiahs shall appear, claiming to work miracles and declaring that the time of deliverance for the Jewish nation has come. These will mislead many. Christ's words are fulfilled. Christ's words, let me see here, and shall deceive many. Turn disciples to Christ, take heed to no man deceive you. Many shall come by name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. Many false Christs shall appear, claiming to work miracles, and declaring that the time of the deliverance of the Jewish nation has come. These will mislead many. Christ's words were fulfilled. Between the death and the siege of Jerusalem, many false messiahs appeared. But this warning was given to also those who live in this age of the world. The same deceptions practiced prior to the destruction of Jerusalem have been practiced through the ages and will be practiced again. And ye shall hear war, rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Prior to the destruction of Jerusalem, men wrestled for the supremacy. Emperors were murdered. Those that were supposed to be standing next to the throne were slain. There were wars, rumors of wars. All these things must come to pass, said Christ. But the end of the Jewish nation as a nation is not yet. For nation to rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Christ said, as a rabbi see these things, he will declare them to be God's judgments upon the nations for holding in bondage his chosen people. They will declare that these signs are token of the advent of the Messiah. Be not deceived, they are beginning of the judgments. People have looked to themselves. They have not repented and have been converted that I should heal them. The signs that represent are tokens of the release from the bondage of the signs of release from bondage are the signs of the destruction. Then until they deliver you up to be afflicted and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And they shall then shall many be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another. All this the Christians suffer. Fathers and mothers betrayed their children. Children betrayed their parents. Friends delivered their friends up to the Sanhedrin. This persecutors wrought out their purpose by killing Stephen, James, and other Christians. Now, beloved in the Adventist Church, this talks about a time in the future, very soon right now, such as when Michael stands up, such as never was, this was in days even to that same time, according to Daniel 12:1, in which our friends, our relatives, our family, our cousins, our pastors will deliver us up for the persecuted for the sons of the law, beloved. This is the sons of the law present in Sermon Part 10, beloved. You see what just happened recently with the gun shooting down in Florida. You see how they want to restrict guns, bump stocks on guns. Donald Trump wants to restrict bump stocks on guns. You see how the Florida governor, he wants to restrict the buying age of guns at 21, even to military veterans. You see how he wants to also restrict bump stocks. You see how he wants to take away guns to the mentally ill, as if the mentally ill can't protect themselves from violence when they're being mistreated in the courts or by people trying to break into their homes. You see how this has become a mental health issue and taking away gun rights to the mentally ill, like bipolar, schizophrenic, and ADHD people from owning guns. Beloved, that's the Second Amendment. That infringes upon our Constitution. Because the First Amendment gives us right to assemble, it gives us freedom of speech, it gives us freedom to publish, to get out our publishing books, to get out the press. And the Second Amendment gives us right to bear arms, and it also, and the Fifth Amendment gives us right to be quiet when we're being questioned in court, so we want to incriminate ourselves. Beloved in the Adventist Church, all these rights are under attack. When they take away the guns, we're going to come into a military state, where only the cops and the military will own guns. And people will not be able to own guns to protect themselves from the military state. The military fascist, military law, martial law state is about to hit this country. When they start taking away guns in this country, believe me, you brother and sisters in the Adventist Church, our country will go into a fascist military war zone in which the military and the cops will control our country, and the sons of the law will be passed. And where only the military and cops will have guns, and all those who don't have guns will be the Seventh Adventist Church, who believe in present truth, who practice the reforms, who keep Sabbath holy, not Sunday. They'll be hunted for their lives and put to death by these apostate Protestants in this country, beloved. The evangelicals and the Catholics, beloved. And they'll be hunted down for their lives, beloved. And so this is what Donald Trump is saying to the people. He's saying, get along with your money, your prosperity, your buying, your selling. We're about to have a long age of peace, 1,000 years of peace. That's the evangelical gospel, the ecumenical gospel that Benny Hinn and John Hagee preached and Billy Graham preached before he died. We're going to have a long 1,000 years of peace. There's not going to be more pain, not more trouble. Peace and safety. And when they shall cry peace and safety, beloved, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as a woman in travail, and they shall not escape, beloved. Don't let that day overtake you as a thief, beloved. Get into the Bible and the Spirit of prophecy. Read the Desire of Ages. Read how our friends and loved ones are going to betray us for the sons of the law and hand us over to authorities. Read the Bible and see how sudden destruction cometh upon them as a woman in travail when they cry peace and safety. How is it going to come upon them? They're going to receive the 7 last plagues. Boils on the skin, sun blistering them with fervent heat, drinking bloody water, the darkness over the sea, the papacy, the Catholic Church over in Vatican, over Rome. That's the sudden destruction that cometh upon them. And also sudden destruction that cometh upon them is the fire of the last great day, the second resurrection. Beloved, ye are not deceived. Ye are not in darkness. Stand faithful to these last days, beloved in the Adventist Church. Do not be deceived by the overwhelming surprise of the Sunday-law, beloved. It's coming soon, beloved. Sunday is coming. It's coming soon. And this Sunday surge at First Church they're having right now, where they're having the Adventist Church worship the first week of New Evangelism, is a baby Sunday worship. Do not worship in the first of the week, beloved. Do not get involved in the Union Church and State. The Church and State are being united because their Johnson Amendment is going to be repealed, and probably in this next pork package they're having in Congress to deal with the gun issue. When they pass gun legislation, They're probably going to put a provisional law to repeal the Johnson Amendment so that churches can have more power over the state. Beloved, when the leading church of our nation unite on common points of doctrine, as are held by them in common, then we shall see lying one who's saved. Great Conference talks about that, beloved. Maranatha, God bless. Be faithful.